In this video, okay, we've talked about some of the personality traits, from like describing people and how to describe people and so on. Now let's go from a part of a movie. Let's go from a small part of a movie. Okay, let's go. You have technical problem. Okay, so the last video has technical problem, no problem. Let's continue. So we start here, personality traits is how to describe a person, how to describe anything about characteristic of a person. Now what she said is about like, I can say he's shy, he's strong, he's so on. Now let's go through some of the characteristics from this session. Now let's start here. Example, let's go for example. Okay. It's taking time, no problem. Okay. Now, so before until it's finished, let's talk about this. We said like, what does he look like? It's different than what's he like. Now let's say for example a word like this, like active here. Okay? Active. Active. What's the meaning of active? Active means like active. He goes here, comes here, active. It's an active person who does lots of things in a short time. Active, active person. Let's give an example. Our people feel he's been very active since he won the contest. What's the contest? What is the contest? Okay, contest. Contest is like between two teams. For example, imagine we have two teams. We have, for example, here and here are playing together. So let's say the first one is so let's say football teams. So Real Madrid and Barcelona, they playing together. So they play together. So this is what? Yes, this is a contest. Now what do we notice here if we're talking about this part here? What do we notice? In here, he's been. So the part of his here, what's this? Yeah, okay, this is he has. So he has. He has been. So he has equal his. He's been. What's his? What's that? What's this part? Yes, it's the present perfect. Very nice. So this is called the present perfect. Now what is the present perfect? Now as we agreed before, we don't ever try to talk about the tense without understanding that tense. So let's try to understand this tense. Okay, let's delete all of this and let's try to understand this tense. What is the present perfect? Now, so present perfect here, okay, is like this. Let's give an example. He had eaten his lunch. He had eaten eaten his lunch. So this is a sentence in a present perfect. So the form of the present perfect is verb to have plus the PP, which is the past participle. Okay? So here, as we see here, so it's verb to have plus the past participle. This is how we use the present perfect. But what's this when I say, what's this? Like when I say verb to have plus the past participle, what's that? We said we don't memorize, we understand. So instead of saying this, I start talking about the present perfect. Now, so let's first talk about it in the timeline. Okay, so let's ask ourselves, and let's go for the present perfect. The present perfect is to emphasize on the result of a past action without mentioning actual time when it happened. What's speaking? Let's go from this to how to explain that present perfect. Now, the present perfect is like this. Let's talk about the timeline here. And let's say here, we have here past, we have here present, and we have here future. So as we agreed before, we have three tenses: past, present, and future. Now, so if we're talking about the present perfect is something happened and ended in the past. Very nice. So it happened. So it's where it's here. So when I talk about it, it's here. So it happened here. Okay? Now, but there is something about it. What's that thing? Yes. So that thing has an effect here. What do I mean? Like for example, when I say this sentence, so I have a sentence here, he's eating his lunch. So I talk about he's eating, so it happened in the past. But now what will I understand? So from this sentence I will understand an important result. What's that result? So when I try to talk about this result, he's not hungry. So when I say he's eating his lunch, so I say he's not hungry. He's not hungry. So something happened in the past still has an effect on me now. So I emphasize something happened in this, but still has an effect on me now. But also add to this that I don't mention the time. I don't mention when. Now, why should I do this with this? Let's give another example. Okay, so we gave an example here. He's eating his lunch. That means he's not hungry, and this is the result here. So he's not hungry. So that's the result. So something happened in the past, still has an effect on me now, and I don't mention the time. So he's eating his lunch. That means he's not hungry. Let's go next. So the form of it is verb to have plus the PP. PP is the past participle. We have three forms of the verb. We have the present, past, and the past participle in the past. Now, let's give an example. The example is like this. When I have eat, so that's the first one. Then we have ate. Then we have eaten. Eat, ate, eaten. Eat, ate, eaten. So, if we're talking about this, this is present. This is past. this is past participle. So we have three forms of the verb. We have present past and past participle. We have different verbs and different actions, different things. Now we have two kinds. We have regular and irregular and blah 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 and all of these things. Now what should I do with these verbs? These verbs I should practice them in sentences to remember them. Meaning, like I have it here like this. So if we're talking about the previous example, he's eating his lunch. So eat, ate, eaten. So the past participle is eating. So he's eating his lunch. That means now he's not hungry. And I don't mention the time. Why shouldn't I mention the time? Now that's an important question. Why I don't mention the time? So that's a good question to ask myself. Why in that present perfect I don't mention the time? So I have the present perfect here. Why in the present perfect I don't mention the time? That's an important question, need to be answered. So why? Why don't I mention the time? Why don't I say I've eaten my lunch, like let's say at 8 o'clock? Because if you remember from tenses, we said there is a tenses called the past simple. Past simple refers to what? The past simple refers to something happened in the past, ended in the past, but in a specific time. Like for example, when I say I ate my lunch at 8 p.m. So I ate my lunch at 8 p.m. Let's go for this sentence. I ate my lunch at 8 p.m. So if you want to explain this in a timeline, so it's like this. This is 8 p.m. here. And this is the part when I say this is what? This is past. And this is the specific point here. 8 p.m. Okay? So as we see here, so it's 8 p.m. Here it's what? It's present. Okay? And here it's future. So if we're talking about that timeline, we have the past here, we have present, we have the future. When I say I ate my lunch at 8 p.m., that means yes, it's here. It's a point in the past, happened and ended. That's what I want to say from using that past simple. So the past simple talk about something. Happened, ended in the past in a specific time. So this is when I mention the time. But in the present perfect, my friend, I don't mention the time because I don't need the time. I don't need you to tell me about the time because I don't care for the time. I care for the action itself, and it still affects now. Now we have the contractions. As we agreed before, so contractions are the shortcuts from anything. So contractions. So he has equals his. She has equals she's. It has equals its. Let's go next. Now we have here I have equals of, they have equals them, we have equals with, you have equals you. Okay? So these are things. These are how I relate things. Now, so let's continue. Now, it means that the present perfect, something happened in the past and still has an effect on the present time. I've eaten my lunch, that means I'm not hungry. I've, like, for example, let's give another example. I've played football, that means I know how to play football. So that's my point here. So that difference, very nice, between the past simple and the present perfect. Difference between the past simple and the present perfect. Okay. So he needs first to know what is the past simple, as we were actually explaining. I prefer explaining on the board. Here it's better. Okay. So here, as we agreed, that the question here is what is the past simple? So what do we use each one for? Now we use the past simple for something happened in the past and have a specific time. We use the present simple for something happened in this but still has an effect only on the present time here. Now what's that? So both of them, we agreed, are in the past. But here we have to mention this part. We have to mention that the difference between them. We have to mention that both of them, they happen in the past, but one of them I mention the time, one of them I don't mention the time. I don't have to mention the time in the present perfect. It's not important. But I have to mention the time, or most of the time, not I have to. Most of the time, when I talk about the simple past, I mention the time, because this is how I differentiate between them. Now, I've eaten my lunch. I ate my lunch yesterday. I ate my lunch yesterday. So something happened and ended yesterday. So that's the thing. So this thing happened and ended, and I mentioned the time here. I paid attention that I have to tell you this time, yesterday. But here, in here, I don't mention the time, so no time. So here is no time. But here I mention it. Let's go next. Let's go for personality traits again. Now let's go for a video about personality traits again, and we go back to our obviously the second video has a technical problem. No problem. Now let's continue. Personality traits. Let's continue the personality traits. So the first personality trait we talked about was active. So active. Active. So active. Our people feel he's been very active since he won the contest. Active. So active. He always work. Always work. Now let's go for the opposite of active. What's the opposite of active? Think. Yes. The opposite of active is, yes, it's lazy. Active, the opposite of active is lazy. So let's put lazy in a sentence. No one is helping him. He says they are too lazy to work. Again, so no one is helping him. He says they're too lazy to help or too lazy to work. That's lazy. The opposite of active. Very nice. So lazy here is the opposite of active. So lazy is the opposite of active. Now let's go next. Another personality trait. Afraid. What means afraid? Afraid to be scared is from something. Remember scary movies, horror movies? So I'm afraid. So I'm not afraid of the lion. You know? So I'm not afraid of the lion. So what is the lion? The lion is an animal. So I'm not afraid from the lion. So here, so what's the opposite of afraid? The opposite? Okay, so talk about active, and the opposite active is lazy. We've talked about afraid, and the opposite of afraid is brave. Very nice. So brave. Also, we have to pay attention to something. Afraid here, that's adjective. We can say also a coward. So let's put it in a sentence. Of course, pay attention to something important. Afraid and coward, they are both are somehow equal, but we use them in a different way in a sentence. How? Now, if we're talking about a coward, I say he's afraid of the dog. He's that coward. So he's afraid of the dog. He's a coward. Very nice. So here I'm saying what? Here I'm saying that I'm explaining the thing. Now this is, yes, he's afraid. He is afraid of the dog. Okay, that's his action, that he's afraid. He's scared. Okay, afraid also, we have also equal to afraid is scared. So also equal to afraid is scared. So we have afraid, we have scared. Also, the characteristic or the personality trait, it's a coward. Okay? So now, so we said here, I'm not afraid of the lion. So I'm not afraid of the lion. What's the lion we said? We said the lion is an animal. Okay? So go next. Okay. The opposite is brave. Very nice. So the opposite of scared or afraid is brave. Very nice. Okay. Very nice. So here I have a new word. I have two words. I have afraid or a coward, and I have the opposite of that is, yes, a coward. A coward. Now let's see this. See this picture. Now, so let's give an example as well. Yes, here. Yes, that's the lion. So he's not afraid. I'm not afraid from the lion. So I'm not afraid of him. I'm not a coward. I am what? Brave. Very nice. He was brave and jumped from the plane with a parachute. So you know the parachute? So he was brave and jumped from the plane with a, yes, with a parachute. So it's, yes, parachute, when I jump from the plane. Let's go next. Arrogant. Arrogant. What means arrogant? Arrogant person who thinks that he or she better than everyone. Okay, so that's the arrogant person. So again, so the arrogant person, okay, so the arrogant person, as we agree, who thinks or he or she better than anyone. Arrogant, you know, I'm better than you. I'm arrogant, you know, arrogant people. Arrogant people, or we have another word here we can use, also egotistical.